Welcome to all of you to this press conference, which from my point of view and my colleagues is the start of a rather unique adventure. Obviously I am here to announce my candidacy as an independent candidate for the presidency of Parliament. I do that on the basis of expecting to have support from 40 colleagues or more across the House, of different parties and of no parties. And this morning is to give a flavour of that, some of the things I want to say about democracy in this House and about the independence of the position of President. But I'm going to hand now to one of my colleagues, Cecilia Wickstrom.
Thank you very much, Diana. Good morning to all of you. I'm Cecilia Wickstrom from Sweden, being a colleague of Diana's in the ALDE group since 2009. We have also worked together in the Legal Affairs Committee ever since. I'm proud to be here today as Diana's colleague, and I'm shocked of the lack of democracy in this House. To me, having no candidates, no official candidates, but an agreement that was done behind a closed door, like in a closed room, closed doors, is to me rather appalling, not to say shocking. I'm coming from a vivid democracy of Sweden where this would never have happened. And to me, beforehand, I was imagining that there would be a multitude of candidates running for the most prominent position of this House. Now there is an agreement between two groups, and none of us knows anything about what's in that agreement. But what I do know is that I would have wanted to see a wide range of candidates running for the most prominent position of this House. I'm also appalled to find that we have no women candidates. This House consists of 70% men, elected members of the House, and 30% women. I'm proud that Diana has the courage and the character to stand up and say, I'm your candidate, I will serve this House, I'm not here to rule this House. There is a huge difference between serving the people and ruling the people. Diana is one of those people that I know that would actually serve this House in the most prominent and beautiful ways that I can think of.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. Graham.
Thank you, Diana. Well, I'm here to support Diana Wallis's bid because I believe that the presidency of the House should be a non-party political position. As it is in many parliaments, it should be somebody who is chosen to represent the members rather than chosen as a result of some deal between political parties. I believe that we should be moving to take the presidency of the House out of the so-called d'Hondt system of the division of spoils, so that the House can elect the person that everybody feels is the best placed to be the President of the House. I have nothing against Martin Schulz or anyone else who might run, but I believe that democracy needs a contest, and that contest requires contestants. And therefore I salute Diana's courage in running as an independent candidate. I've known her for 12 years as an MEP and for 5 years as one of our vice presidents, and I consider her eminently well qualified to do the job.
Thank you very much, Graham. Perhaps I can say at this stage, part of my motivation for putting myself forward as a candidate has been as a result of conversations with many colleagues across the House that have expressed the same sentiments that Cecilia and Graham have just expressed, that we as a Parliament talk the talk about democracy, but we don't actually walk the walk when it comes to our own institution. A couple of weeks ago, I had a visit from Egypt. It's on my Facebook. There's a picture of the one female candidate in the race for the Egyptian presidency. And this lady sat and talked to me, and she said, "Oh, you're so wonderful, you know, to be a vice president in this house, and you have democracy." And I actually felt, at the end of that conversation, quite shamed. And it was partly that, I think, in the end, that tipped me over the edge. Because it is about democracy, and it is about making clear to Europe's public at these such difficult times when people are actually rather unsure about politicians, fed up with politicians, we have to send a message that this House takes them seriously and takes democracy internally very seriously. Now, if I can introduce my next supporter, which is Indrek Tarand, who's flown in from America this very morning. Indrek.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. I flew in from America, and they are worried about Europe's future, and that's our response to them. Actually, I'm from Estonia. I was elected as an independent candidate, and I know perhaps how difficult it is for a lonely wolf, so to say, to contest them. But I hope it can be done in this case as well, even though I agree that contestants are all good, and particularly the reason is that without contest we don't deserve to be in this House. And if you allow me to say a couple of words about how I came into this group of supporters, because we met with Diana 2.5 years ago, I think, and it was obviously in the Arctic, not geographically, but topically. And I've learned a lot from her, how to promote good political causes, and also have noticed that she has very good views, opinions and ideas how to make this parliament a little bit more transparent and perhaps even closer to people. So this is what I do for her.
Thank you very much, Indrek. Dennis, please.
Thank you, Diana. I think I should go back with you to when we had the election campaigns in 2009. That was, for me, it's my first mandate. So it was also my first experience with how those things go in the Netherlands. And I think one thing that was very typical is that most of the people who attended the campaigns and the meetings we had all had one thing in common. For them, Brussels is a big black box, and I think they have hardly any idea how our decision-making processes go, and they know about something like high incomes, corruption, lobbyists. It's that type of atmosphere that many people have, and that, I think, in part explains why it's also always so difficult to tell people the good things we're doing here. And you always have to fight that battle against the general overall picture. So when I entered the Parliament, one of the things I thought I had to tackle and contribute to is to enhance transparency and democracy in this House, and also to make Brussels, including especially the European Parliament, more understandable for people. So when I heard that there were negotiations about the transparency register, I actually came up to Diana's office, because my group is not represented in the international, or wasn't represented in the institutional working group that dealt with the register. So you have to rely on those who do sit in there. And Diana was good enough, and it was really, for me, a very important experience that it's possible through a member of another group to get the right information and to even contribute as far as possible to the work of the working group. And all of that, I think, very well done in the sense that Diana respected the integrity of the working group, so I didn't get information that she couldn't give, but I did get sufficient information to know and to tell other people about what's going on. I think the next phase, we have been working together also on the expert groups in the Commission, where we wanted more transparency. But I think the big climax of our cooperation was in the working group on the Code of Conduct for MEPs, where we shall now see, hopefully, that the results will be adopted by the plenary very soon. In that working group, of course, it was a small working group, so you could work really together. And I think we have accomplished quite a big deal, and if it wasn't also for Diana's input as vice president of one of the vice presidents of this working group, the result wouldn't have been as good. I would say Diana is transparency, and she is very even-handed when it comes to smaller groups like my own. And for those reasons, and also for all the other reasons mentioned by the others, I fully support Diana's candidature. I think it's a very brave act, Diana, and I hope really that the candidature alone will already be a good signal for the House that we are going to be more transparent and democratic.
Thank you very much, Dennis. And last but by no means least, Angelika.
Thank you so much. Also, good morning from my part. I'm an Austrian independent member of this House, and I fully agree with what my colleagues have already said. Especially on the democratic aspect, I would still like to point out another point. We ask democracy from our people ask for democracy. So I think the European Parliament should definitely stand up as a very good role model and have a democratic election. And since Diana put herself out for the candidacy, I think it's not only a courageous and really good and well-sorted way of showing a democratic, it's like an active step towards democracy. I would also like to point out the independency. I think it is very important to be independent in this position. She will not have like the political pressure from one group, but she will even go a lot further by trying to achieve a compromise of like summarizing, I believe, the political will of all political groups. And there is always a good compromise, because I think our motto should not only be united, we are in diversity. We should also speak like with a very strong and unique voice for Europe. The other point I would like to point out as a woman is that we have so many really capable women in Europe. We ask for like gender equality, we ask for equal opportunities. Why isn't it given to a woman too? And I think also from that aspect, Diana is definitely the role model. I have got to know her on a very good basis in a working group when we worked together for raising like the attractiveness of plenary and to set up some new ideas. And I think she stood up for what she said, and she really acts in the way she says. She's not only saying it, she's also doing it herself, and I think that's a very important step. The other point I would definitely like to point out is the women's share in the parliament is about 30–35%. Here is another capable woman, and I think we all have to support her. I mean, we are here 3 men, 3 women, so that's probably the best example to say we have equal opportunities. And as in my language, alle guten Dinge sind 3. I believe all things come in 3. We had Simone Veil, who was elected in July 1979. We had Nicole Fontaine, elected in July 1999. And I think there is another one, a third one, for like even after more than 10 years. I think it is more than necessary to stop all the agreements found behind closed doors. I think it's very important to step forward and say, here I am, and here we are to support you. Thanks for your courage and for all the respect that you show to our citizens. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you to all my colleagues. I think they've said it all for me. I only want to underline that the themes of my campaign will be democracy and independence, and to make this House better serve through its members, the people of Europe. And I would aspire to be, on their behalf, a president for the whole House. But please, if you have any questions, we still have a little time.
Constable Brand from the European Voice. 3 questions, actually. Why are you running as an independent? Why has the ALDE group not backed your bid? And also, could you list or explain what other members, some bigger groups, support your bid? For instance, from the Greens, the S&D, or the EPP. Have you gotten any support from MEPs from those groups? And how would you rate your chances against Martin Schulz, seeing that you say this deal between the EPP and the S&D could, make chances for other candidates quite slim?
Look, I wanted, after conversations with people in the House that approached me and people that I decided to talk to, some of whom are here today, to make a statement about the independent role of the President of this House. And that's why I am an independent candidate. And that is a very clear statement and a very clear intention. I have no problem that my group are not backing me as a group. In fact, I think it's far better that they aren't, in a sense, involved in this. A president should be there for every member of this Parliament, not for a particular group or faction. And that's the culture that I would wish to see us pursue and achieve in this Parliament. I've spoken to people across the political spectrum, but I think that given that there is on the table a deal, colleagues from the EPP and the S&D group are less happy to openly voice perhaps their positions, but there are plenty who have indicated to me that they are pleased to see me entering the race and pleased to see democracy in this House, and I hope that some of them will feel in the coming days able to publicly voice their support.
And how would you rate your chances?
I think that's for my colleagues, and we see how things develop. But I think it's important to participate. It's important for democracy in this House. I mean, I think that, we spend all our time pointing a finger at the Council or whoever else talking about deals behind closed doors. Let's show that this House is open and democratic and have a proper contest for the presidency. It's also a sort of chance for us to discuss how Parliament works, how it can better function for all its members. I've spent 5 years in the Bureau of Parliament. In that sense, I found myself in quite a unique position, a position where colleagues have come to me, and you've heard it this morning, and said, well, we think actually you have the right profile to go for this, and that's why I've come to that conclusion. There was another, I think, or not. Any other questions? Constant.
Sorry. How will you run your campaign? Will you meet with the groups and sort of what's your campaign going to involve? A push for more transparency? What ideas are you putting on the table?
Clearly, and I think also my whole ethos will be to be independent, and I'm not in the game of going to address the big groups. I want to talk to individual members, and I want to make it clear that that's my motivation. And I think just to give you an example, if you look at the way one of my colleagues mentioned the way DeHont works in terms of Parliament's Bureau, that means that Parliament's Bureau is nearly always inhabited by people from the large countries. I would love to see some Scandinavian or Baltic colleagues in the Bureau of Parliament. Why is it this sort of closed shop for the bigger countries or the bigger groups? I think we really need to let a breath of fresh air through this Parliament that would put us more in tune with people's expectations. And it looks quiet now, so thank you very, very much for your participation.